Welcome to the SNet webinar. I am Frederick Weiss,
And I'm Mike Hensgen, Director of Sales here at SNet.
and we are so excited to have you with us today. We're going to be talking about a number of different things, specifically around UCaaS, Unified Communications as a Service. So the subject of our webinar today is how to secure, scale, and control your business communications with UCaaS. So at the beginning here, we're going to just set things up to set the stage, so to speak. So SNet provides unique UCaaS solutions. We're going to be talking about the benefits of our UCaaS solutions and UCaaS as a whole. So UCaaS is really the backbone of your business, and at SNet, we align UCaaS to your needs and goals. And we've been doing this for over 16 years, probably even longer. Providing that tailored fit solution for your business. And what does that mean? So the tailored fit business communication provider, that is us specializing in custom solution services and support for every customer. And that tailored fit, that means the VIP treatment. We are here for you and to help you with whatever we can, however we can, because your success is our success. So, Mike, let's talk about, just with brevity here, what exactly UCaaS is. That doesn't mean that somebody's saying, "Hey, UCaaS." We're not saying, "Hey, UCaaS." Is that your name, Cass? What exactly is UCaaS, just as a whole, very quickly, for those that might not know?
Yeah, Unified Communications as a Service represents all the communications tools that any particular business might require, from audio and video conferencing to their email to chat to voicemail, to all the auto attendants and ring groups associated with a business's setup.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike. So we're talking here about security, scalability, and cost control. So why is it essential to secure, scale, and manage your business communications with UCaaS? So this is a pretty common thing going forward, and I don't think we're going to change it, as the concept of the quote unquote office evolves beyond traditional cubicles and landlines. Employees require advanced tools to facilitate seamless communications and collaboration, regardless of location or device. So, that whole 2020 thing that, if we all remember, happened or didn't happen, we're trying to forget, as I am. But that whole thing has had a lot of digital transformation that would have happened in maybe 10, 15 years, all in a few months. So that is our future going forward. So let's talk about the first part of that, which is security. So how can UCaaS secure your business? So we're talking about end-to-end encryption, advanced access control, compliance, and regulatory systems. There's a lot of companies out there that need that HIPAA, PCI, GDPR. That's was a fairly big thing that came up with Europe and California in the last few years, and should be taken very seriously. And of course, regular security updates. So fill us in here, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. As organizations become more and more dispersed, more folks working from home on a regular basis, they still need the tools that they had when they were sitting in the cubicle with the rest of their colleagues. And depending on the business type, as you mentioned, there are oftentimes PCI compliance concerns. There are HIPAA concerns for folks involved in the medical vertical, and we need to provide that level of security, that level of compliance to our end user clients in those various verticals to offer a complete solution.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike. So let's go to the next part. So we covered security. Let's talk about scalability. So how can UCaaS scale with your business? So again, here we're talking about flexible infrastructure, adaptable to workforce changes, seamless integrations with business tools, and cost-effective expansions. So there's a lot of things to cover here, along with your business growing, employees coming and going, and your business expanding, all the way to things like integrating with whatever tools that you're using and keeping those tools secure, and also being able to scale with those tools that you add on and off here, right, Mike?
Absolutely. When you talk scalability, it screams UCaaS to me. In no premise-based environment will you find the level of flexibility that you will in a hosted cloud-based solution, right? The ability to add users if your business is expanding, or remove users if your business is contracting, if your business is cyclical, which many of our customers are. That scalability, that ability to turn on, turn off the number of users, in some cases turn on, turn off some of the features or functionalities for some of those users. That's a huge advantage for our customers.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. And the third point that we're going to be covering here is cost control. So, how can UCaaS help a business control communication costs?
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, there's a lot of great advantages here. So, predictable price models. You could always depend on you know what this is. It's not there's no surprises with this. Unified systems. So, combining voice, video, messaging, the whole 9 yards. That everything that you need to run your business, reduced infrastructure and maintenance costs. Of course, there's things where people had on-premise hardware that some kind of device that sat in a closet that nobody knew about or knows about, and there's a lot of maintenance that could certainly go on with that we're being able to circumvent, and of course, on-demand scalability. So UCaaS allows you to scale as you see fit. So,
Mm-hmm.
Mike, if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the predictable cost model is something that, again, many of our customers, many of our prospects enjoy in working with SNET. But I'll go back to the scalability piece, right? So in a premise-based environment, you're adding 5 or 6 users. Depending on what your line configuration is, the amount of real estate in the PBX chassis, the line cards that are available, not to mention the physical phones themselves, that's somewhat unpredictable from a cost perspective, right? In the UCaaS world, adding 5 users, reducing 5 users, you'll know exactly the impact of those changes to your monthly recurring bill.
Love it. Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike. So let's go to our next slide, which is it's Q&A time. So let's talk about some questions and answers on security, scalability, and cost control from the crowd. So, Mike, we got some questions coming in right away. Thank you for all your questions. We'll get to these one at a time as they come in order. The first question that I have here asks, I have a small business around 50 to 60 employees.
Mhm.
Do I really need UCaaS to help with my security? They didn't communicate their industry, but if you could just add a pen to your message, please, and ask us what industry you're in. But Mike, I'll let you take it from there until we get that answer.
Yeah. So without knowing the specific industry, yeah, UCaaS is likely going to be a good fit. 50 to 60 users, right? You probably have various departments. You've got an AP department, accounts receivable, you've got HR. You may or may not have a sales force. You certainly have administrative folks and folks that are perhaps a more worker bee type employees. Well, every one of those employees need different tools to do their job effectively. Some of them may use a CRM, some of them may use an ERP. There may be a happy mix between the two. And in a UCaaS environment, whether that's SNET or some of the others in the space, they can easily tailor fit a proposal to specifically meet that business's requirements. And if we get some color as to what that industry is, I can give some specific use cases.
I do have a reply, and thank you for replying with that information. They wrote assisted living, and they have two to three locations. So with assisted living.
So I've had some experience working in the assisted living space. One of the huge challenges is, do you offer phone service to your residents? Right? In many cases, you don't have Cat5 cable infrastructure running to the various units on the campus. In our world, we can provide a UCaaS solution for the internal staff, whether that's nursing stations, front desk type environments, convenience type phones throughout the facility for emergencies, et cetera. But we can also custom tailor that with an analog option that allows you to utilize maybe existing analog devices you have on site currently, or in some cases, as I've seen, it's more of a bring your own analog device, as Aunt Rose is paying her monthly to live in that facility and just plugs her phone in and off to the races Aunt Rose goes.
Nice. Oh, well, good for Aunt Rose. I hope you're safe, Aunt Rose. We all love you. Take care. God bless. Mike, I have another question here
Yeah.
from a individual asking. They have a what does it say here? They're running a medical, a dental, excuse me. They're running a dental facility. They have 3 locations. They're wondering how exactly UCaaS, HIPAA, etc., PCI, what those things mean for them and how UCaaS plays a role in that. Thank you
Sure,
for your
absolutely.
question.
Yeah, absolutely. So, from a dental facility, a small medical practice, 3, 4 locations, your level of HIPAA compliance is equal to that of one with 300 or 400 locations, right? The concerns they have are the concerns that you have. Rest assured that SNET is fully HIPAA compliant. All transmission of voice traffic is fully encrypted and goes through a series of firewalls over our network to maintain the integrity, the security of that voice transmission. If you're an organization that takes credit card information, perhaps via payment, whether that's an IVR or an automatic system that captures that data and stores it somewhere, we can help with that by disallowing the actual storage of that information to make sure that it goes to the appropriate repository to keep you in compliance of that PCI data. From a HIPAA perspective, again, I'll just go back to the encryption of the data or the voice traffic over our network. We are completely HIPAA compliant and have a number of organizations in the medical space that are fully enjoying and taking advantage of that compliance.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. And maybe we have time for one more question. I see here somebody's asking, I have a small pizzeria that I opened up with my brother. Thank you for the extra context. Appreciate that.
Excellent. Good luck to you both.
Good luck to you there. How can UCaaS help save me money and help me become more help my business become more secure? Excuse the sentence structure, but thank you for the question. Mike, do you want to dive into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on what you have in place, what I've seen, especially with small businesses in the QSR or quick serve restaurant space, is a number of them have just continually added phone lines as the years have gone on and on to accommodate additional volume, especially as a result of 2020, right? So if you've happened to take a look at your phone bill or what might be part of your cable bill or some variation or combination of the two, you've probably seen the cost of POTS lines increasing pretty dramatically over the course of the last year and a half. And certainly if you're in a POTS line or plain old telephone service environment with a premise-based analog phone system, first off, those bills are starting to creep up on you. And secondly, that analog phone system, it definitely has a best if used by date. So I would be cognizant of that as a business owner with my brother. And it might be helpful to look at some UCaaS solutions, because in many cases we can give you more volume or more throughput, in other words, internal call capability, than you may have in your phone line analog premise-based phone system environment.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that question. And thank you, Mike. Mike, do you want to answer any other questions, or should we move forward and we'll get to those at the end here?
You know what? Let's go ahead and move on. I know that you have some additional
Okay.
questions. So
Yep. So, we'll get to those questions then, I guess, at the end. So let's move ahead to our next section of the webinar, which is about SNET and our UCaaS solution. So we're talking about leading edge voice, video, and collaboration, and much, much more. So let's talk about SNET Connect, our product. So we have business voice services. We have services for your main device, your laptop, desktop, what have you, whether that's Mac or Windows. And then we also have solutions for your mobile device, whether that's iOS or Android, or a combination thereof. I don't know if that exists, but we'll see. That'd be fun. Get on that, Steve Jobs, or oh geez, Tim Cook. I think that's his name. So let's talk about what SNet UCaaS products we have. So Mike, if you could dive into this a little bit.
Yeah, the SNet Connect platform is many different things to many different clients, right? As you mentioned, in some cases, some of our less sophisticated customers, they utilize it as just a standard PBX, no desktop applications. They want the phone to ring. It gets answered by an auto attendant or perhaps a live individual. They say, please hold and transfer that person. Or as I suggested, an auto attendant environment, the caller is able to, select from a number of options or an extension and get to the person that they want. They want the ability to transfer calls. They want to put calls on hold. They want everyone to have voicemail. In other words, any of the standard PBX type functionalities that you would expect, our UCaaS solution has in spades. But for organizations that are a little bit more sophisticated, in some cases, many of them are not even looking for desktop phones. They're looking for phones that are on their laptops or on the PCs on the desks. Real estate is becoming less and less available on the desks, right? So having a physical device there in the corner, in some cases, is just a paperweight. And our SNet Connect platform, our desktop application, gives you all that full desktop call control that I described in the standard PBX type world, but it gives you a number of other type functionalities that many people find very helpful, specifically click to call, click to conference, integration with Outlook right out of the box, integration with a number of different CRMs right out of the box, whether that's Salesforce, Zoho, Sugar, Dynamics, HubSpot, G Suite, NetSuite, DealCloud, Sugar, you name it. If it's a household name in the CRM space, if we don't have an integration built to it already, we certainly can, because as I've mentioned in previous webinars, we have all of our own in-house development talent. And then
Excellent.
For those that are even more mobile or have a road warrior type workforce, our mobile application is huge. In fact, I have a couple prospects that I'm working with right now. They're pretty highly evolved organizations. One happens to be an engineering firm. They're thinking about going all mobile applications.
It's a great way to cut costs, especially depending on your workforce and where they're at. So it makes a lot of sense. So let's talk now about the benefits of SNet UCaaS. So, Mike, obviously we have a lot of things here. Maybe you could touch on some of the high-level points.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of highlighted some of the options that are available from our UCaaS solution, but the three things that jump out at me when I'm thinking about UCaaS versus premise-based phone systems, first and foremost, is disaster recovery and business continuity. The fact that your instance, your thank you for calling ABC company, resides on a number of servers in multiple data centers with multiple connections to the PSTN and multiple IP handoffs, that cannot be duplicated at any cost in a premise-based environment, right? So the fact that you're always on, always available, always able to be connected, regardless of what's going on locally, a PRI failure, an internet failure, what have you, is a huge advantage. Secondly, we've talked about some of the integrations, Salesforce, Zoho, Sugar, Dynamics, the list goes on, right? But in a premise-based environment, to have someone go out and source not only the CRM itself, but also find a vendor that can do the integration to those tools that I've mentioned with the premise-based environment, and then to go on and manage those integrations, make as moves changes, so on and so forth, can be a costly obligation. In the UCaaS space, one of the key components is, cost control, right? And in our environment, the only variable is the number of users. So that's another key component. And then last but not least is, you get a lot of bells and whistles, right? You get a lot of bells and whistles that frankly would be very, very difficult to find, implement, integrate, and manage from an ongoing perspective. Things like on-demand video conferencing, on-demand audio conferencing, the integrations with some of the things that I mentioned, so on and so forth. And then the last thing I'll say is the availability to pull reports with a few clicks, right? In many cases, our organizations, our companies, our customers require very specific reporting on very specific timeframes. And they can not only pull reports on call volumes and call dispositions and things of that nature on demand, but we can actually set up scheduled reports to be automatically generated and forwarded to the appropriate parties in HTML, in PDF, in CSV, you name it. It's all fully customized.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Mike. So now let's talk about what's included with SNET's business voice services. So we got a lot of things here, and we talked about or we touched on some of these things at a high level, like HIPAA, PCI, etc. Our 5 nines guaranteed uptime, high quality hardware, tailored fit business phone systems. So go ahead, Mike, take it away from there.
What's included with the SNET voice and data voice services, we have touched on a number of these things at a very high level. But, one thing I'll say is, our bells and whistles are very similar to the bells and whistles of any number of our competitors. Well, whether that's Nextiva, whether that's Comcast Voice Edge, whether that's Ring Central 8x8, et cetera, the list goes on. But I think what really separates SNET from others in our space is that it's the support. And it's the support not only from a pre-implementation perspective with our project managers who serve as the quarterback for a number of individuals that are involved in every deal to ensure its success, from the porting specialist, the voice over IP engineer, equipment procurement, training specialists, et cetera. You have a dedicated resource in that project manager, again, as suggested or mentioned, as quarterback to serve as the leader of that group behind the scenes to ensure your implementation goes off smoothly. And then not only from a pre-implementation perspective, I think even more important is the level of support that you're provided during life cycle. And here at SNET, whether you have 5 phones, 15 phones, or 1,500 phones, you're going to get a dedicated CTA or client technology advisor here at SNET who serves as your single point of contact for any and all things SNET related, whether that's adding new users, augmenting the training required for some of the folks that may need a refresher, right? Billing questions, additional services. We need additional features turned up for this group of users, what have you. Anything SNET related, from billing to additional services being added to training requirements. Your client technology advisor is that single point of contact that you can rely on to be there to either take care of it themselves or definitely manage it through resolution to your satisfaction.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. And let's go to the next. So let's talk about, we're going to discuss our desktop and our mobile device apps. So take it away, Mike, talking about our desktop app, SNET Connect.
Yeah, SNET Connect is really the foundation for our cloud-based phone solution, right? It serves as the mission control, right? The GUI, the graphic user interface that each and every user in our environment utilizes for their desktop call control. It gives them the opportunity to not only interact very effectively, very efficiently with one-on-one interactions between their colleagues across departments, but it also gives them the capability to interact in a conference environment very, very effectively, very, very efficiently, not only with internal folks, but as I mentioned, it integrates directly right out of the box with Office 365. So you have click to call, click to conference for not only your internal coworkers, but any folks that are in your Outlook contact list. And as I mentioned, this desktop application gives you full desktop call control to put people on hold, to pick up calls, to park calls, to transfer calls, so on and so forth. So it's a very, very intuitive, very easy to consume, very easy to understand tool that with just a few minutes, a little bit of training, anyone can become an expert.
We're waiting for questions for the end here, Mike. But I just this one's is a contextual, and I think it makes sense. Is there
Mhm.
anything that one could not do on a traditional desktop phone that they couldn't do within the application here? Thank you for the question, by the way.
No, there isn't. But when you started reading the question, what I started thinking was, is there anything that they can't do on the mobile app that they can do on the desktop app? That's where I thought you were going, right?
Oh,
So,
and we could go there too.
yeah, we'll take it a step further. Great
Yeah.
question. The mobile app will do everything that the desktop app will do, with the exception of initiating a video conference. Now, you can participate in a video conference from the mobile app, but you cannot initiate a video conference from the mobile app, at least not yet. Now, you can SMS from your SNET provided DID, in other words, your business telephone number directly from your mobile device, and not have to worry at all about putting out your personal cellular phone information, but rather your main number for your business or your individual DID. You can click the conference right out of the mobile application, just as you can from the desktop application. And all of the integrations that I described, whether that's with a CRM specifically or Office 365 right out of the box, are fully resident in our mobile application.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. So let's talk about our UCaaS services. So let's discuss these at a very high level. So again, you touched on, Mike, that one gets a dedicated project manager,
Mm-hmm.
implementation engineer, and provisioning specialist.
Mm-hmm.
We have maybe you could go into some of that, and then we'll go through some of these other bullets.
Yeah, again, I would argue that the key differentiator of SNET versus some of the
Yeah.
others in the space is, in fact, that white glove approach that we take, not only from an implementation perspective and the folks behind the scenes, every one of which is accountable for your overwhelming success and the success of the project. But the business needs analysis and usage auditing, you know, SNET's going to take the time in the pre-sales environment to understand specifically what any particular client is trying to accomplish, or what their specific challenges might be. Having come from, a rather large competitor prior to coming on board at SNET, it really was, here it is, make your business fit. At SNET, it's completely different. It's tell me about your business challenges and let me build it to fit your business, right? So that's a huge differentiator.
Yeah, this whole that whole point right there of we design a tailored fit UCaaS system for your unique workflow that aligns with your business goals.
Agreed.
We're not joking there. We tailor fit these things to whatever your business needs are and get this done for you. Again, I can't say it enough. Your success is our success. And let's talk about again that support, which is another key differentiator here, Mike. So again, you getting that dedicated client technology advisor, the 24/7, 365 support, the seamless maintenance and updates.
Mhm.
We manage everything for you.
Yeah. So as you know, Frederick, you and I are both part of the executive team. And every month when we have our meetings, we go through a number of different metrics relating to SNET's business health. And of course, we go through how many new seats were added, what was the attrition, what does our past due debt look like, what's 30, 60, 90 days past due from an accounts receivable perspective. But the one thing that jumps out at me, and this is because I came from a rather large competitor, is what is the mean time to resolution for our tickets? Because having worked for one of our huge competitors, dealing with their 1-800, I'm not going to say the name, was taxing, for lack of a better description. Here at SNET, last month, which, because we're always a month in arrears, 70% of our tickets were closed in less than 27 minutes at first level support. Now, if you've ever tried to call support at any of our competitors, you know that oftentimes it takes 27 minutes for you to even get in touch with a human being, let alone have your ticket resolved and closed. So that in itself, in my opinion, speaks volumes about our approach versus that of others in the space.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, sometimes you don't even get to speak to a human being, which can be crazy frustrating. So
Its
yeah,
own challenge, absolutely.
yeah, giant advantage there. So why choose our SNet UCaaS solution? So again, we touch on these a lot. We talked about the personalized user experience, the fully managed support, that white glove experience that we have been underlining over and over again, and a complete technology ecosystem.
Hmm. Yeah. So I think those are all somewhat related, right? So if we're having a conversation with a prospect in the pre-sales stage of our relationship, we're going to ask questions, relating to what their goals are in 3 years, 5 years. How big do you see the organization? Are there any tools that you see coming down the path that you'll be implementing that I should be aware of? Because the one thing that we certainly don't want to do is paint anybody into a technology corner. So we get a very, very clear understanding of not only the immediate goals or challenges, but the goals and challenges that they foresee in the 2, 3, 5 year time frame. Again, to be sure to prescribe a technology solution that'll address the concerns that are right in front of us and the potential concerns that are coming down the pike. And part of that relates to what their ecosystem could look like, right? Hey, you know what? We don't use Salesforce now, but we plan on using it. Easy peasy. We're already integrated with Salesforce, right?
Exactly. Well, perfect. Well, Mike, we are at the end here, so let's get some questions and answers going. Let's get some questions. So the first question I want to get to is again that person that asked earlier, and I'm not sure we touched on their question, and I'll get to everyone else next. Was what? Let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. Are there any disadvantages? I'm getting the gist of this. Are there any disadvantages to not having a desk phone, a traditional office desk phone, and just completely running SNet Connect on your device?
Not that I'm aware of, so yes and well, okay, sure. There could be, especially if nobody's utilizing headsets, right? There's going to be a lot of people talking out loud to their computers, and that could be a little bit disruptive. But, with a simple $30 USB enabled headset and microphone from, Best Buy or Office Max, that's very quickly and easily alleviated, right?
Yes. Yeah, so that's not really a concern. So I guess that to answer the question, no, no, there are no
Yeah, yeah.
disadvantages.
So
Maybe go ahead.
I've had a phone on my desk here now for about a year and a half that hasn't been plugged
Ah,
in.
ah, there you
So
go.
that should just give you an indication as to the importance of a physical device in the eyes of a road warrior type like myself.
Exactly, Mike. I've been reading some of these questions. Why don't you go ahead and jump and take one of these on?
Yeah. So one of the questions I see here is it's a question relating to a manufacturing firm that looks like they have a location overseas. And the question is, are they able to be included in an implementation? Yeah. So, yes, unless they're in Algeria or a number of other shortlist, blacklisted countries, we can absolutely put phones over there or not put phones over there. I'm actually working with a company that is putting together a small call center in Malaysia, and they aren't going to have physical devices. They aren't going to have desktop applications, but rather they're just going to have mobile application. Now, one of the questions that they have that relates to your question is that any calls between the mobile app or the desktop app in Poland or Malaysia or wherever it may be back to the United States are without toll. So those calls are absolutely free. However, if those individuals place a call from their desktop or mobile app to a local number in Malaysia or Poland, that is in fact an international call because it's originating from the United States. So in the case of the company that's doing the call center in Malaysia, we're doing the mobile applications only on each of the individual cell phones. For any internal calls, they're going to use the SNet Connect mobile application. And anytime they place a call on behalf of the organization in Malaysia, they're going to just use their regular cell phone. And from a business cost perspective, they're going to provide each one of those users with a monthly stipend to offset their mobile phone bill.
Excellent. All right. Well, why don't we go back? We'll answer some more questions, but why don't we, before we do, Mike, we want you to ask us if anything regarding this webinar or anything about SNet whatsoever. So we are asking you now to ask us any kind of question. It doesn't have to be relative to this subject or anything along those lines. I got somebody.
Frederick, look at that
Yeah.
last question. I think it should be related to UCaaS, but I'm flattered.
Yes. No, you're right. I just wanted to go. I completely agree with you. I just trying to move things along for the sake of time because I know time's limited and I want to make sure I'm respectful of everyone's schedules. I know people have meetings out there. One of the questions, which I really like here, is what's your website address? So I'm going to pop that open on here. So, go to snetconnect.com. So please go there. And I'll pin to your question. If you want to contact us, go to snetconnect.com/contact. If you're looking to become a partner, it is snetconnect.com/partners. And we'd love to answer your question. So thank you for that. So, Mike, I'll let it go back to you if you have any more questions here that you want to answer.
I see a handful of questions, but in the interest of time, it looks as though those questions are very similarly related to the QSR question or the pizza store question that we answered, as well as the multi-location international concern question. So I think we have them pretty well covered.
Excellent. And thank you. And again, we'll be sending out some email shortly after the webinar, which has all of our information. So please feel free to reach out to us, ask your questions. We'd love to connect with you and talk. Again, that's really it for us. Want to thank you all for joining the webinar. We had a really good time and we hope you did too. And, again, connect with us at snetconnect.com. We'd love to talk to you about anything, absolutely at all. We have a lot of opportunities for our partners as well. So give us a ring, send us an email. And Mike, you got any final words of wisdom? Anything you want to close with?
Hey, thanks everybody for taking the time today. I hope you enjoyed it, found it the time well spent. Certainly, if there are additional questions or further color required on anything that we brought up or discussed, please do not hesitate to reach out. We're here to support you as end users, as partners, whether you're existing or prospective. Please just reach out. We can put you in touch with the appropriate parties if either Frederick or I are unable to get your question addressed.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much, Mike. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Take care, all.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.